Hey everybody, Jack Barnwell here on beautiful Mackinac Island. We're about to dive into another stunning cottage garden here on the island to show y'all some of the magic of Mackinac Island. This one and the one that we're gonna link into through the woods are both really just beautiful projects that my team and I have had the opportunity to work on and build, and I think you're really gonna like it. So let's check them out. All right, everybody, so here we are diving into another really magical Mackinac Island cottage garden. This one, called Caskey Cottage, was an incredible treat to design and build for my team and I, starting with these beautiful stone bridges. So we built 4 of these stone archways that this massive river and waterfall system flow through, that's on this big circulating pump and stuff. We'll show you through all that in a minute, but these are all dry stacks. So all of the stonework on this entire project, all traditional dry stack limestone, no cement or mortar used whatsoever, and they're all holding up beautifully and they look really, really special. Another awesome feature about this property is this beautiful gate and fence. All of the fence work is all cedar from the area here, and my younger brother, who's built quite a few of our impressive garden features, built this this series of gates here with this beautiful archwork to kind of mirror and mimic the Mackinac Bridge that can be seen in the distance, which we'll show you in a minute. But just love the way those turned out. So as we enter into the property here, the cottage, the original part of the cottage, is just framed up on the hill. It's this quaint, cute little old cottage there with a lot of really impressive Victorian architecture and gingerbread details, which we'll see as we get a little bit closer up toward the cottage. Before we get too far away though, I do want to show you some of these other bridges that we built. And at night, this is all lit so beautifully with all these trees lit just a little bit. There's some lights in the water. It's a really, really magical space. Oh gosh, there's so many things to talk about. But again, like I said, with the all of the stonework we did, we built all these walls and everything by hand, all dry stack, all limestone, all out of Wisconsin. These boulders, again, all limestone. And most of these are from the Upper Peninsula here of Michigan, and were brought in and sourced with moss and algae and all kinds of character already on them, so that as soon as we built this whole landscape is really quite young. This is only about 1.5 to 2 years old or so now, but it already looks like it's just been here forever, with a lot of really, really neat little kind of patinas already starting to form in a lot of areas here. Of course, always working, straightening things up and weeding. But as we weave up through here, when we started, and we'll try to put some photos in the video here as I'm talking through so that you can see the way some of this looked when we started, but this was a complete blank canvas. All there was up to the cottage from way down there was a thin little concrete pathway through a weedy, kind of brambly mess of poison ivy and waist-high weeds. I mean, it was a complete overhaul here to get this staircase in and all these different levels, and through that process, the cottage itself was completely rehabbed as well. And we brought in some awesome specimen trees and loaded it up with ground cover. So believe it or not, there's really very little maintenance to a landscape like this once it's installed. We've got all this ground cover in here: lamium, myrtle, brunera, these millennium chives there about to bloom and look absolutely stunning under that birch tree. some sumac, that's tiger eyes, sumac doing its thing back there. Really just love the way this landscape is coming together. But stand that obelisk up a little straighter there. Look at the bright, like cherry pink blooms on that astilbe, just in peak form right now. When those are peaking in another few days to a week, these millennium alliums will be blooming as well with that purple, complementing this big band of these Invincible Spirit 2 hydrangeas back here. Look at that, just stunning pink bloom. And then this big bank here of Bobo hydrangeas just about to bloom, and that'll hold and look absolutely awesome through the late summer and fall. We did mass plantings on this property of, the same plant here. This is all Nosferatu hemerocallis daylily that are all about to bloom a beautiful, deep red like purple. And as you can see, all the gaps in the flagstone were planted out with creeping thyme, Irish moss, Scotch moss. And this is such a great plant because the Scotch moss here, you can just pull pieces off like that and pack it right into these gaps. And that'll take right off and be, absolutely fine. And that's how we've gotten it to fill right in, is just by continually ripping at, taking little pieces like this as it spreads a little bit and just packing it right in there, and that'll go. Whew. Yeah, all this is looking really nice. So this driveway section here where we're standing allows for a carriage to be able to come up here. We put this bigger, broader stone staircase in here off of the big original broad staircase coming down from the original cottage, so that traditionally you would come down and load onto your carriage, and we kept tradition alive with this big broad staircase coming down. Oh, it's just looking really stunning. Sorry, but I haven't been here in a little bit, so I'm seeing all these things and it's getting me pretty excited. This is Daisy May. This is a great perennial daisy dotted in along the side of this stone staircase here. Look at all the blooms on that daisy. This is the absolute best daisy in the Shastas. Just incredible bloom count on a more compact habit of a daisy there. And I love the way that we transitioned from more of a formal garden up around the cottage itself into these meadows. So as soon as you drop down that stone staircase there, the property turns into a much more rolling meadow-like landscape with a tremendous amount of wildflowers, all these trees dotted in through this big broad meadow that extends out toward the lake and the cliffside there. And the river and those stone arches and bridges that we went across up there at the beginning of the property spill down through this daisy-filled, beautiful meadow and into the lower pond that sits down there and overlooks the cliff and the beautiful view there of the Mackinac Bridge. So, gosh, this is looking really good. I'm quite proud of my team, doing a great job taking care of this one, and it's looking just as designed, and it's really awesome. I can see there's some irrigation that just kicked on, and I think that this zone is next. So we better get moving before we get a little bit wet there. Well, I'm super proud of the way Caskey Cottage is coming along, starting to mature into its own and look really, really beautiful. But let's peel away from Caskey Cottage now and dive into Lilac Cottage and check out the progress that my team and I have been diving into there, where we still have quite a long way to go, but it's looking really magical as well. All right, so here on the back side of Lilac Cottage, we're now behind the barn. And this space before, when we first started, was really nothing. It was kind of that, dump site, the very back corner that nobody ever sees of the property. And it was all just sort of wood chips and, random debris from over the years of people just hauling stuff and putting it back there, the pudding place that hopefully somebody else would have to deal with some other time. Well, we finally dealt with it, cleaned it all up and leveled this all out, put in this little staircase here. Of course, always weeding and cleaning to do. But once we get some of this stuff weeded, the Irish moss will take over and fill these cracks beautifully, just like it has over at Caskey. We put in this really neat little fire pit here so you can sit around and enjoy a little fire in the summertime. And this space has become, quite magical, where before, like I said, it was sort of this forgotten space and really unusable. And now it's this quiet, nice, shady little sanctuary in the back corner of the property. And tucked right in here into this little garden, we put in another pondless waterfall system from Aquascapes. We really do love these systems and have enjoyed using these quite a bit. This is a really nice little one here. This one's quite stunning. It's got some nice sound to it. Lights all up in there and everything like that. I love the way that that's just tucked right into the back corner of this landscape. So about a year ago now, we built these stone walls and landscaped around the barn, and it's maturing in and looking quite nice with these beautiful river birch here as the anchors. And now we're working on some of the landscaping around the cottage itself. So as you can see, the cottage is getting a beautiful addition. They've about doubled the size of the cottage in the back here. And as we see when we go around the front, you can't see any of this from the front. So the front of the cottage still has the exact lines and frame and the historic look of the cottage that it's always had. And Lilac Cottage is actually the original, the oldest, most historic cottage in the annex. So this is, an honor to be working on this property and this project and being able to do some really neat elements here as far as the landscape goes. We put in these couple of stone staircases and these stone walls and stuff like that, that obviously none of this is planted yet, but we just shaped all of this in order to get this brick patio in. So on a project like this, we're always working with all the other contractors involved. And while the contractors took down their scaffolding to get some work done inside, we were able to come in and get all this brickwork done. They'll set their scaffolding back up to put the siding on. And then as soon as they're done, we'll come in and get this all planted and really get this finished out. But this brick is all reclaimed old road brick out of the city of St. Louis. And it's heavy, I'll tell you that. It's really, really heavy. I'll show you one of the bricks right here, because we still have to knit together and finish this last section. But these things are 4 inches thick. They're probably 10 pounds a piece or so. Really, really heavy there. And none of them really fit just right. So, all of these have to be slammed in with a big, huge rubber mallet and packed in. This was a quite labor-intensive brick install, but it turned out really, really cool. And the owners just absolutely love it. We have put in a couple of trees. Another one of these beautiful river birch here. This is Heritage, is the variety of birch, to tie into that landscape around the barn and some of the work that we had already done last year. And as you can see, we still have some more wall work to do to finish out these beds and get this whole bike parking area all finished. And there's still a lot to do, but we've also come a long, long way. So I'll show you the front of the cottage here too, which is looking super charming. And it is still a construction site, so you'll see there's big piles of lumber and trim everywhere that we can possibly squeeze it. And of course, we'll have to replace all the grass underneath there because these have been sitting there for a little while. But as you can see, the original cottage in its cute, charming form here, looking absolutely stunning. You cannot see any of that addition whatsoever in the back. So from the front, and this brick was here. So this is what we were trying to match with that patio in the back. This is original, very, very old brick here that's been here since I can remember, and the current owners can remember as well. So we matched that by finding that old brick out of St. Louis. And the gardens out front here, again, we built all this last year, and we're trying to sort of mimic and tie the whole landscape together now with these just classic little cottage walls. This little shim stone, you know, we use this stuff all the time in building walls. It's all just dry stack. They're, you know, fairly lightweight, and we cut them in, get a nice tight snug fit, and it holds up, you know, very, very well when it's stacked nice and tight. And the beauty is too, every couple of years, you can just kind of bang it back together with a little rubber mallet, restack it up a little bit, and it's fine, good to go. I like having a little wall like this because it's easy to weed whip up against and keep the lawn nice and tight. And it allows, you know, perennials like this hardy geranium here to spill over a little bit. These beautiful supertunias a chance to, you know, trail out and do their thing. Just beautiful. The hedge back here, Palabin lilac with going bananas daylilies in front of them, big old bank of annuals, and some of these hardy geraniums dotted in toward the front. So it's a very, very simple planting, but super, super effective with quick fire hydrangeas kind of holding the anchors in the corners there. So I love the way that this one is coming together here at Lilac Cottage. I'm super excited to work with my team, the owners, and the other contractors involved to wrap this one up and see this one all planted out and really set on its way into maturity, because this is probably one of my favorite projects that I've worked on the island. But anyway, we have more gardens to check out and more things to do, so we better get moving. We'll see you guys in the next garden.